I'm Monique Soltani. I'm a wine expert, a journalist, and I'm thirsty for life. This is Wino TV.
As a little kid, I would always ask myself, how do people become successful?
Where culture...
Because I was working hard. I worked really hard washing dishes. I worked really hard in landscaping, but I was just barely surviving.
And agriculture.
One of my conversations I had with Warren Winarski, he said there's always opportunity for those who want it.
Come together. I am here in the tank room of Mi Sueño Winery. That means my dream, and I am with Rolando. He is literally living the dream. I gotta say, I get a ton of email pitches that come from different PR people telling me about different winemakers, and I hear so many different stories. And I read yours, and yours is one of the first that I'd seen in a long time that really struck me as a really unique story that I really wanted to be able to share with our audience. So, Rolando, why don't you give everyone just a little bit of background about your history here in the Napa Valley?
My father brought us here back in 1975. That's when the first time I came here to the States. My father decides to go back to Mexico in 1980. And that's where Mi Sueño story begins. 1982, I came back here by myself and enrolled myself back in high school and got a job. And, just my first job while washing dishes at Auberge du Soleil. And then not until 1985, I got my first job at Stag's Leap Wine Cellars with Warren Winarski.
And I love the story that I had read about how that started with Warren. You were kind of breaking some bricks. And will you tell that for us? Because you tell it better than I can retell it, obviously.
Yeah, well, prior to that, I was working at Mustard's Grill as a cook with Cindy Paulson. And I was tired of being inside a kitchen all day, and I wanted to do something outside. So I ended up at Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and I was literally breaking rock. Warren was remodeling his home, and so it was a lot of construction, breaking rock and ditches and mixing concrete, but I was just having fun. I was young and energetic, and it was a lot of fun, and that's where I met Warren. And I guess he liked my work ethic. And after that summer, I needed to go back to my senior year in high school. And that's when he offered me a job at the winery. And myself not knowing what a winery or harvest, I'm like, I can't. What's a winery? And he takes me through, explains to me that it's harvest, 85, and there's a day shift, a night shift, and I could come and work there at nights if I wanted to. And I'm like, sounded really excited, and I said, sure. And, here we are today, and I loved it, since first day. So walking in the cellar, I'm like, wow, what a beautiful world, what a beautiful smell, and, I loved, every bit of it.
So you think that day when you walked in, you thought to yourself, maybe one day I can be a winemaker? Or you weren't thinking, boy, this is a lot of hard work. That's what I would have been thinking.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I was 17 and a half at the time and been here by myself. I was just so happy to have a job. One, I was very grateful. Two, I was just so excited to finally be inside a winery.
And then within a couple years, you became cellar master. And then when did you start actually making wine?
So I spent 10 years at Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, and I got promoted to cellar master, almost at 3 years. And that was a huge promotion. It sent a message to me that I guess I was doing something right, and that I've earned his trust. And I did that for another 7 years as a cellar master. And then I had to make a really tough decision in 1994 after harvest, which is to leave Stag's Leap. Because at that point, I was already hungry for more knowledge. I was really comfortable in the cellar aspect, production, doing all the wine work, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more what's going on in the vineyards, and I wanted to know more about the actual winemaking. I didn't have the education, I didn't have the background, the experience, so there's no way I could fill a role in there, so I needed to leave. I left to Chateau Patel. But back then, it was a small winery, boutique winery, owned by Marquette and Jean-Noël, French, and as hard as the move was for me, it's the best decision, the best move I could have made in working with them, because it's a small winery, much smaller than Stag's Leap, but I was able to do everything I wanted. I still wanted to be a cellar rat. I wanted to be in the cellar and still, get my hands dirty in the leaves and smell the grapes, and I wanted to, rack the wine, but I also wanted to be in the lab. The new things were I want to be in the lab, I wanted to be in the part of the blending process, the tasting. And I was literally Marquetta's right hand person, so I did everything. In 3 years I was there, and that's where I really transformed myself from a cellar master to a winemaker. My last year there in 97, that's when my wife and I got married, and we started Mi Sueño, but only with 200 cases.
And now, flash forward, obviously, about 20 years later, and you're one of the most sought after winemakers in the Valley. What does that road look like from there to now?
Wow. I would do it all over again. It's great. I have had a great journey. Yes, the ups and downs, challenges like every business. But I've been very fortunate that in every step, I've gone through, I've been with great people, great families, great mentors. From Chateau Patel, I went to Vinecliff Winery as my first head winemaker position. And then from there, I went to Paul Hobbs, a great friend of mine, who we worked together at Stag's Leap for 1 year. And we just hit it off like brothers. Who would have thought that a few years later, I would be one of his right-hand men as his director of winemaking for Paul Hobbs and Paul Hobbs Consulting. So it's been a great journey. Of course, a lot of long hours, but I truly love this industry. I love what I do. That 12 hours, 14-hour days goes so fast.
It's like you're not even working.
It's
right?
like not even working. And I remember hearing the great, beautiful saying, right? That find something you love to do and you'll never work another day in your life. I thought that was just a nice words, but actually I'm very proud and very happy to say that I am living that. When you really love what you do, it's not work.
And obviously you named your winery My Dream.
My dream is Sueño, because it's a dream for me. The name was easy. God gave me the opportunity, my wife and I, to have our own label, Winners, and coming from a very humble beginnings, and then have your own label. It's like, this is my dream. It's a dream come true. It has to be Mi Sueño. So very, very fortunate that we were brave enough and had the courage to name our brand such a unique name, with a different spelling that is not part of our English language. And that was the biggest challenge I had from my friends, my good friends close to me. They advised me well. Said, Orlando, you should find another name.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, because that's such an important part in the wine business, being able to pronounce the label.
Yeah, and we thought about it. My wife and I really thought about it, but it's just, I had to go with my gut, my intuition. And my intuition just felt really, really strong that I knew the challenges that the name was going to have by having a letter in there that's not part of the alphabet. I knew the challenges of the pronunciation, but it just feels so right. It just says Mi Sueño. This is, and the meaning of it, it's me. And I wasn't afraid of failing back then, because for me, I felt like I've been successful from day one, because who would have thought that, I never would have thought that I would have the opportunity to bottle wine number one. So that right there, I was always successful. I'm like, yeah, I did it. And it's also a story that I wanted to share with my family, with my kids, and hopefully grandkids and friends. And I must say that I'm very proud that I'm living those moments now, not just as a vineyard and as a successful brand, winery, but I'm living the moment where now I get to share my story of Mi Sueño, how it all started with my kids, and friends and younger, people.
And that kind of leads me to my next question about Napa Valley. Obviously, 20 years ago, when you started in 1985, it's a different place. Times have changed. The industry has changed. Do you think that someone coming to the Valley now, the way you came, that many years ago, do you think they'd be able to have the same level of success?
Wow. Great question. I get this question asked a lot because the Valley has changed so much. And I guess my answer to that is yes. If you're willing to work as hard as I've worked the last 30 years, this is my 32nd harvest, I think you can be successful in anything in life, because hard work, dedication, discipline, tenacity, focus, it's only equals success in any industry. It's how hard you're willing to work. Now, is there as much opportunity now that there was 20 years ago? No. But you can still be successful. I'm very fortunate that I control 100% of the process. 100% is state. So I'm a farmer, I'm a grower, a winemaker. So all the wines that we make come from our own vineyards. These are vineyards that I farm. And that's a lot harder to accomplish now. But in regards to buying grapes and starting your own brand and working hard and you doing it yourself, it just depends how hard you want to work.
The secret to success, the years go by, but it's still just hard work. I mean, it's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I owe that to one of my conversations I had with Warren Winarski, because when I was at Stag's Leap, I was just in awe, and I was so proud of him and so honored to be working at Stag's Leap and hear his story of how he started when he came to Napa Valley and how he bought the land and all of a sudden there's this beautiful winery and buildings, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I remember asking him one day, hey, senor, because I would always, as a little kid, teenager, I would always ask myself, how do people become successful? How do you go from being poor to being comfortable? You can provide for yourself and your family. Because I was working hard, washing dishes. I worked really hard washing dishes. I worked really hard in landscaping, but I was just barely surviving. So I'm like, how do people do it? And I remember one evening, I asked Warren, I referred to him as Senor, sir. Hey, Senor, so do you think the opportunities are there today when, the same as when they were when you came here to Napa Valley? And he looked at me like, whoa, like that's a loaded question, right? It's like I think he was surprised that I was asking those type of questions at teenage age. But I remember his response was, absolutely. Yes, things have changed, but he said there's always opportunity for those who want it. And I'm like, okay, I was really excited. I'm like, yes, so, and now I can say the same to young kids, younger generations. The opportunity is always there, it just depends. It's on you. It's really how you position yourself and how hungry you are and what you want in life.
It kind of strikes me as like a gift that he gave you in a way.
Yes, absolutely. Again, that's a big part of who I am, what I am, and what mi sueño is thanks to my, opportunities and my mentors that I ran into life. Warren being one of them, Marqueta, Shat Patel, and Paul Hobbs. I mean, they're not just great people, great friends, but they're my role models and mentors.
And they're household names in the wine community. I want to talk about some of the fantastic wines that you produce. We have 2 here today, but tell us about your lineup.
Yeah, so my first one, Mi Sueño, was founded with Chardonnay, 1997. So we still make a Chardonnay. I do 2 Chardonnays, Los Carneros, and a Chardonnay from Sonoma Mountain. 2 Pinot Noirs also, Russian River Pinot, Los Carneros Pinot. And I bottle a blend in honoring my hometown in Mexico. Another crazy name, hard to pronounce, but it's El Llano. It means, which is the plain. A small village in Mexico where I was born. And that's a blend of Cab, Syrah, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. And then, of course, I do the 100% Cabernet in Napa Valley. And again, these wines are made from 100% estate vineyard, which is, another very important and special part of making my own wines. Not just making my own wines, but making wines from our own land and from grapes that we farm. It adds an extra layer of, I would say, specialty or proudness.
Do you have a cheers or a toast? Anything that you like to say around your house?
Oh, always. We're always toasting around the house. But I guess, I toast, to our community, our strong community, for surviving this very horrific experience, the fires. And I'm very proud to be part of this community. And it has changed me as a person and how I look at life, but for the better. So cheers, and to everyone out there. And we're stronger.
Cheers to you, cheers. Orlando. Thank you for your time and your wine.
Yeah, my pleasure.